Welcome to The Secret Truth. I'm George Butler, and we're going to be playing a clip from a Tucker Carlson program occurred Tuesday evening, just last Tuesday evening, and he had on as a guest a candidate for a U.S. congressional district in New Mexico. What attracted Tucker Carlson to this particular individual was that he was attracted to him because he ran an ad. It said F the NRA, and Tucker was looking at that, I guess, from a broadcast viewpoint. He said, "Now what? This is a congressional candidate using the F word to describe the NRA," and so he had him on the program, and it was very, very amazing program, and I'm gonna let you watch that right now.
Voters don't like the NRA. Pat Davis is a Democrat running for Congress in New Mexico. Put two and two together, and Davis has produced a new ad where he expresses his view of the NRA unambiguously. But you decide.
The NRA. Their pro-gun policies have resulted in dead children, dead mothers, and dead fathers. I'm Pat Davis, and I approve this message because if Congress won't change our gun laws, we're changing Congress.
Pat Davis joins us tonight from New Mexico. Pat, thanks for coming on.
Hi, Tucker.
So that's the ad, F the NRA? Kind of moronic, no?
That's it, just 15 seconds, but it got a whole lot of attention and started a new conversation about guns, and I'm grateful for that.
But doesn't it degrade you? I mean, you use the F word in an ad. I mean, if you have a position, state it, but F the NRA? I mean, come on.
Well, Tucker, I mean, look, being polite, it hasn't made our schools any safer. It hasn't protected police officers like I used to be. If a cuss word on TV offends you more than pictures of dead children in Parkland or Newtown, then your priorities are all wrong. I was a cop when the assault weapons ban was in place. But it's not either or. Hold on, wait, so
I don't care if you're a cop or not. Wait, hold on, wait, let me ask you a question. It's not an either or. And it's not that I'm so offended. Politeness doesn't work. Do you think rudeness will? Is rudeness going to save lives, do you think?
Well, as we were looking to make this ad, we kept coming up with the same idea, and every ad idea we came up with to talk about this issue looked like somebody else's. And those had not worked. Clearly, this got the NRA's attention, and it has started a new conversation, both amongst candidates running for office about how we organize and take back Congress and put new leaders there to take on gun control, but also how we stand up to the NRA. I mean, we know what works. 50% of NRA members.
No, it's sort of a conversation about how embarrassing you are. I mean, how many NRA members have committed mass shootings?
Well, but Tucker, here's the thing. A majority of Americans, 89% of police officers, a majority of NRA members.
Here's the thing: I asked you a direct way. No, hold on. Here's the thing. You just released an ad that said "F the NRA," which I'm sure back at your fraternity house they loved. But let me ask you an adult question: how many NRA members have committed mass shootings?
Tucker, this is about the organization itself. My family grew up when I was growing up.
I'm asking you about the organization
members of
itself.
The NRA. It's not the NRA to my dad's organization. It is when their only response to a mass shooting is more guns in our schools.
How many of their members? Hold on, they have millions of members. How many of them have committed mass shootings?
They do, and I've been hearing from them all week. Look, I've been hearing from them all week because the NRA made us their target. We've started a new conversation, and what I've also heard from are parents in Parkland, in Virginia, in Newtown who donated to keep the ad on the air because they want people in Congress to finally step up.
So you're really doing a public service.
If the NRA wants to
let me give you a little more publicity by
common sense regulations that their members support.
Come to the table. You just said F the NRA.
We're not waiting on them to come to the table.
Oh, you're really trying to have an adult conversation. So here's your new spot, and I want to talk the policy and see what you know about it. So here's your latest 15-second ad.
By the time this ad is done, an AR-15 could have fired 150 bullets. That's why we need to ban assault weapons. I'm Pat Davis, running for Congress, and I approve this message because lives are more important than gun company profits.
So you just said that in 15 seconds, an AR-15 can fire 150 rounds. Is that true?
That's right. That's right.
Well, how would that work
right
exactly?
Here in New Mexico. right here in New Mexico, you can go to a parking lot or go on the internet, buy an assault weapon, an AR-15, and buy a legally available add-on that, like a bump stock, that allows you to replicate exactly what happened in Las Vegas. The Las Vegas shooter could shoot 600
wait, hold on,
rounds a minute.
wait, are you saying, you're saying an AR-15 can shoot 150 rounds in 15 seconds? So would it have a
That's right. And
150
so
round magazine? What would that, hold on, let me ask you, let's be specific, that's your ad. What would that magazine look like, the 150 round magazine?
Exactly like the magazines that Las Vegas police officers pulled out of that hotel room. They had 50 and 100 round magazines, and that weapon was capable.
Oh.
No,
and
50
so you
and
can
100
fire.
round magazines.
It is physically possible to fire. It's not. I mean, these are rhetorical questions. You don't know what you're talking about. And I know that you were a police officer. You claim to have been.
Yeah.
No AR-15 can fire 150 rounds in 15 seconds. That's untrue. And if you believe it is true, then you're not qualified to have a conversation about guns. People are laughing at you because you are ignorant. You don't know what you're talking about. No, that's just untrue.
We take exactly the word of the police officers in Las Vegas, who I trust, who ran into that room to save people down below, and found the weapons that were modified with bump stocks that would allow them to do that.
So they say an AR-15 can shoot. What do you think would happen to the barrel in 15 seconds if you put 150 rounds? It would melt. So I guess my point is, if you're going to take on the NRA and be Mr. Tough, I was a cop guy, maybe you should know what you're talking about, but you don't. You're putting something on television that's demonstrably wrong, that's physically impossible, and all of your voters are like, oh yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. He was a cop. But you don't know. So maybe you should apologize for it.
I'm not apologizing for taking on the NRA.
I'm
no
just
one
trying
else
to.
Is doing it.
Oh, okay. I think you should apologize for saying something that's factually
politeness
untrue.
Have not changed the conversation. We need new folks
yeah, that's
to
why
take
I'm not
over,
being polite. I'm trying to get a real conversation going here.
Yep.
But you don't know what you're talking about, so maybe you shouldn't be in a position to make decisions because you don't understand the issue. Because you just told me with a straight face that an AR-15 can fire 150 rounds in 15 seconds. Ooh, surprise, it can't. So maybe you should admit that and move on to something you understand. Would you do that?
Tucker, this is exactly the type of arguments that don't get us where we need to be. We need new leaders in Congress.
Oh, it's not like F the NRA. That's the kind of argument we need. Oh, I thought politeness didn't work, tough guy.
Politeness is not working so far. If you woke up on Mother's Day and don't have your kid anymore,
you know what works? Actually,
want
facts work. Why don't you get some facts? Oh, Pat, do you like this new mode of communication we have? F the NRA, Pat.
It'd be great to have
tough guy.
It'd be great
Learn
to have
something
a
about
conversation
guns and get back to me. Interview over. Yeah, because you don't know what you're talking about. Let's go back to politeness. I like it better.
You see, Tucker Carlson was pretty tough on this guy, but rightfully so, because the man had his facts wrong. He was just relying on what someone else said. These are scare tactics that the gun control people use. They're not factually correct. Sometimes they don't know about the type of weapons and so forth. So they end up spewing forth a lot of propaganda that's inaccurate and just factually wrong. And it's just pure propaganda. And I'm glad Tucker Carlson called him on this and said, man, you just don't know what you're talking about. But I want to thank you for being with us this evening and viewing this short clip. We hope you got a little bit out of it, but thank you for being with us. And we broadcast from every Saturday night at www.thesecrettruth.com. And if you go to YouTube, go into Secret Truth Show on YouTube. Thank you for viewing this commentary. Good night.